The Israeli documentary filmmaking community has taken a bold and deeply introspective step, openly confronting the devastating realities unfolding in Gaza, and endorsing an international boycott of Israeli cultural institutions. This is a situation loaded with emotion and intense division, sparking fierce debate worldwide. On September 15, 2025, over 50 well-known Israeli documentary filmmakers released a powerful letter expressing their overwhelming shame and helplessness regarding the Israeli government's actions in Gaza. They explicitly declared their support for the global film community's boycott efforts, targeting Israeli state-funded cultural bodies. This collective statement breaks from the usual industry narrative and shines a stark light on the ongoing conflict. In their letter, the filmmakers do not shy away from using strong language, accusing the Israeli state of mass murder and genocide in Gaza. Their message also includes a call to action for documentary filmmakers worldwide, not only to sustain international pressure through boycotts, but to critically examine and confront the role of their own governments in enabling this violence. They specifically point to the support offered by Donald Trump as a major factor, allowing the conflict to persist unchecked. This declaration by Israeli documentarians directly responds to a recent global pledge signed earlier that month by more than 3,000 film professionals, including directors and actors, who vowed to boycott any Israeli cultural institution receiving government funding. The boycott aims to stand in solidarity with Palestinian cultural workers and uphold freedom of expression amid ongoing violence, a stance that immediately ignited controversy. Many within Israel's film industry, including several film bodies and guilds, quickly pushed back. They argued that boycotts risk silencing Israeli filmmakers, particularly those who oppose the war and are trying to tell anti-war stories. Last week, notable representatives like Lior Elephant from the Israeli Documentary Forum and Meram Etrog Bar of the Directors Guild emphasized the difficult position Israeli filmmakers face, trapped between pressure from their own government and the international boycott movement. But this newly released letter challenges that defensive position head-on. The signatories reject any complacency or comfort derived from the critical films they've made over the years, insisting those works do not free them from accountability for atrocities done in Israel's name. The filmmakers detail the horrific toll in Gaza, approximately 64,000 Palestinian civilians killed, including around 20,000 children, and the thousands more wounded, along with countless Palestinians taken captive. While putting Hamas's devastating attacks on October 7th firmly in the spotlight as unconscionable and unjustifiable, they argue these acts cannot possibly justify the overwhelming retaliatory violence by Israel, which has far exceeded those initial atrocities in scale and severity. They also express sorrow for the Israelis abducted and held hostage by Hamas, but caution against the pursuit of revenge at any cost. Warning it only deepens the cycle of violence and suffering. The filmmakers advocate for a political resolution, respecting the rights and dignity of both Palestinians and Israelis, asserting that without such a solution, peace remains elusive. Among the letter's signees are some of Israel's most internationally celebrated documentary filmmakers, such as Avi Mograbi, known for films premiered at Cannes and Berlinale; Yulie Cohen, famous for her trilogy exploring complex narratives related to conflict; Danny Rosenberg, whose films have been featured in Cannes and Venice; Barak Heymann, head of a major film school and award winner at Berlinale; Ada Ushpiz, producer Liran Atzmor, and Pini Schatz, a prominent figure at Tel Aviv Cinematheque. Their unified voice marks a significant departure from the usual defensive responses to boycotts by Israeli cultural figures, openly acknowledging responsibility and aligning with international movements seeking accountability. This open letter, reprinted in full below, reveals the depth of internal conflict within Israeli society and the cultural sector. It challenges readers to confront uncomfortable truths and raises serious questions about artistic freedom, national identity, and global solidarity amid one of the most contentious conflicts of our time. Open letter from Israeli documentary filmmakers, September 15th, 2025. We are a group of Israeli documentary filmmakers, and we carry with us profound shame, pain, and daily torment over the horrific acts of mass killing, destruction, forced displacement, and starvation outrageously carried out by the State of Israel in Gaza, in our name. We categorically reject any efforts to deny or whitewash these facts, especially attempts to soften the reality by using euphemisms like hunger instead of the stark truth of starvation, or war instead of genocide. The numbers are devastating. Around 64,000 civilians killed in Gaza so far, among them some 20,000 infants and children. And over 100,000 more wounded. Thousands more Palestinians remain imprisoned as bargaining chips, while the West Bank continues to endure daily violence and oppression. We do not and cannot excuse ourselves from responsibility. As members of Israeli society, we are inevitably part of the collective that enables these actions, which take place just an hour from Tel Aviv's lively cafes. While the atrocities committed by Hamas on October 7th have no excuse, falling outside even the bounds of any legitimate struggle, they do not justify this brutal revenge campaign by the Israeli state, which has overwhelmed Hamas's original crimes many times over. The suffering affects many, including hundreds of Israelis captured and held hostage in Gaza, some of whom have been released or have died, with about 20 still abandoned by our government within Hamas's tunnels. Though we hold Hamas accountable for their heinous war crimes, the blood of the hostages is also on the hands of those whose thirst for vengeance blinds their judgment, hardens their hearts, and makes them choose war over life. We believe that revenge will never heal this deeply entrenched conflict, whose roots are tangled in over a century of political power struggles. Only a just political solution, one honouring the national, civil and human rights of both peoples, offers a path forward. As documentarians committed to capturing the complex reality of our country, many of us focusing on the occupation, we recognise that acknowledging the truth is an essential step toward real change. That's why we fully support the global filmmakers' boycott against us. We mourn the presence of denial, victim narratives, complicity and self-censorship that have taken hold even within our own community. The critical and deeply nuanced films we have created do not free us from accountability for the atrocities carried out under our collective name. We urge the international documentary community, our artistic family, to hold themselves to the same ethical standards and to focus on exposing the silence and complicity of European and American governments regarding the massacre in Gaza. Our government's brutality is fueled and emboldened by support from Donald Trump, who actively quashes European leaders' protests. Without his backing, this cursed war would not have dragged on. We live in a fractured reality. Despite fierce attacks, Israeli democracy remains resilient, though it's more fragile today than ever. The hatred and incitement between political factions have reached unprecedented extremes. Efforts to silence dissent are growing violent. We hope that alongside the rightful boycott, the world will remember